Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Day 365 here, September the 11th, 2023. Thank you for being here tonight. A few minutes late. I've had a crazy day today. Been in Pittsburgh all day, and a good reason. So my father was diagnosed with lymphoma 13 years ago and prostate cancer, and has been battling it and doing wonderfully. Today, big PET scan, and we went down and just got back in, and 100% clear and clean. My father is clean of cancer 100%. So big thank you to Dr. Aga and the guys at UPMC down there in Pittsburgh. So that's good. Additionally, of course, today, September the 11th, 22 years ago, our nation changed forever and the world changed forever. And we do remember that as well. I know we all have stories about that. We all have memories. It's one of those days that will live forever in our minds and hearts. And, it was a transitioning factor in the world in which we live today. So we never forget New York, Washington, D.C., Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the folks that gave their lives to save others, and we remember it all. So we're going to jump in tonight. Tomorrow, I'm traveling to Washington, D.C. Tomorrow night, I have a meeting, the state dinner tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, 9 a.m., start the meetings down there. And I have already found out that the 9 a.m. session is with congressional leaders. So we're supposed to be meeting with some congressmen and senators and the Ukrainian coalition. So looking forward to that. And we have the dinner tomorrow night. And on Wednesday, there's 4 sessions. It's 9, noon, 3, and 6. So pay attention to our updates. We'll see what happens. There may be one tomorrow night. I'm not promising, from D.C. Wednesday night, maybe, definitely Thursday night, to review that if we need to catch up. If I wasn't able, just make sure that you have the notification bell on there in YouTube so you know when the next one's up. Additionally, Friday morning, I fly out to San Francisco. So weekend update this weekend will be from California. That's where we're at. That's the story. So if things are off schedule a bit or off a day, make sure you have the notifications on. Thank you guys for sharing. We couldn't do it without you, and all of you are deeply appreciated. So let's jump right in. Gonna be a little bit crazy here. We start here, September the 11th. Never forget New York City. I spent lots of time in New York and talked to many people who were there on that day, telling me their experiences and stories. And it's 9/11. So we never forget what happened in our country. Now, let's talk about Robitny. We're going to start there tonight. Ukraine coming out today and saying that they had liberated another 1.5 square kilometers. I know not that much, but making progress and process. And tonight, toward the end of the update, you're going to hear Volodymyr Zelensky actually talking about the offensive in English, not my voiceover. He's speaking in English. So this is good in the Robitny area. There was a small pause, and that was due to logistics and also figuring out the way to deal with the mines. It's a terrible situation. And out to the east of Robitny, another problem that is with the mines is the tunnels. So it's just very, very difficult there. But with that said, Ukraine liberating another 1.5 square kilometers. Now, in the east, this is Avdiivka. Let's do it this way so we can show you guys. Some people may not know where I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about Orytny, because Ukraine liberated a part of this village, and I'm going to show you guys where it's at right here. But we'll jump back first, of course, Kherson, come up the river. You guys know it, Nikopol, Zaporizhia. You come down to Harkiv, where we work, and you come to Orytny. So this is the additional 1.5 square kilometers liberated. You come right up the southern front, you turn north on the eastern front, and you come to the Battle of Avdiivka. This has been a battle basically since the war began, and Avdiivka is pretty much destroyed. They just shell it every day. Ukraine is holding. GT, you've mentioned tunnels today in the past. Do you really mean trench lines? No, they've actually, good question there. Let me go back. So in this area right here, they knew that this was going to be the offensive, or one of them. And the reason being, Ukraine's been very clear that they're going to need to take Tokmak, and the big prize to win this war and to separate these fronts is to take Melitopol. Melitopol, a city of 150,000 people. It's a very key strategic city, and it's the gateway to Crimea. So Russia knew it was coming through here somewhere. So these lines of defenses, they have actually built tunnel infrastructures so that if equipment comes across, it collapses. So it's not just like foxholes in trenches that are dug for battles. They actually have a network of tunnels that they have built through this section right here in the south. They knew they were coming there. It's logical. Avdiivka here. This is Orytny, and you can see right here Uchitlovska Street and Naukova Street. They have liberated. This is interesting. The next street that they liberate is the center street in Orytny, and the name of it is Peremogi. And Peremogi in Ukrainian means victory. Very interesting. Occupied by Russia here, half of it now. And, you know, everything's Russian, but the street names are actually written in Ukrainian. Peremogi is Ukrainian for victory. In the Russian language, the word for victory is pobedi. So you have pobedi in Russian, Peremogi in Ukrainian. So that is interesting there. I didn't notice that before, but Peremogi. So this is the area Ukraine is having some good success. Avdiivka itself, it's leveled, but Ukraine holds on to it. Please, let's get this one here. Please pray for volunteers with road relief targeted just past Chasiv Yar on Saturday morning. Their vehicle hit by a Russian missile. 2 were killed and 2 survived with injuries. Okay, so I'm going to come up and then we're going to address this. I'm going to show you guys something about Avdiivka that's pretty cool. So Chasiv Yar is, I've been in Chasiv Yar many times, and this is the road Ivanivsky that's coming into Bakhmut. Let me pull that layer down there. Chasiv Yar is the support town right here. So this is a frontline city. Notice mainstream complain about the speed of counteroffensive that take into account the Western delays have allowed Russia to create so many problems. Correct. And Zelensky speaks directly to that, and I'll play that for you in just a moment. That's the problem, or a part of the problem. You know, I don't want to miss Desade's comment here from earlier. This comment right here. It's applicable right here. It's kind of sad. The only people who know how many Ukrainian dead there really are the elites. Well, not all the elites. I know how many Ukrainian dead there are. Much more than people think. I understand why they keep it under wraps, but potentially offer reassurance as well. So here's the deal. Ukrainians who are in the know, those that are supporting the war or ready to go fight in the war, you're older, Ukraine's having a problem with some of those younger guys trying to evade, haven't left the country, but that's going to be solved here because conscription is going to crank up. So the numbers of dead are more than are reported. Not as many as Russia, but I can tell you right now, I can tell you right now, I'm going to post a video on Patreon and I'm going to disclaimer it. The only reason I'm going to post it is because it's from Fish's group, one of our key soldiers that we work with. It was not him. It was actually Russian media showing what they're doing. And if we come on up the front here, so Chasiv Yar there, and Ukraine, Russia, everything holding the same there. It's going to slow down. But right here in Sumy, so Fish and his group is up in here somewhere. But so here's the reality. There's quite a few Russians that have crossed the borders and have taken up positions and are randomly eliminating Ukrainian soldiers through IEDs and through gun, just wiping vehicles out. And Russia actually, in a lot of their media, posting a lot of these videos. I've got a hold of one. I'm going to post it on Patreon with a big disclaimer. Don't watch it if you don't want to see what's really happening. But when Zhenya sent me that from Fish's group, he says, listen, man, and it's really interesting you said that. Ukraine's beginning to realize how many soldiers we're losing. And even today, Valin from Mariupol, a friend of mine whom we've talked to many times during the Azovstal siege, lost some very dear friends, and he put out some public tributes to them. I mean, we're talking, it's tough, and we are leaving this, we're getting towards the end of the counteroffensive, and there will be a reset time. What is Russia going to do? We'll see. We'll talk more about that, but it's going to be a challenge here coming into the fall and winter. So that's Aritny. We take the good news there. We take the good news in Robitny. Now, Avdiivka, I want to show you this right here, just so you guys are aware. If I use this map here, you come into Avdiivka right here. Avdiivka is a suburb of Donetsk. And, this actually helps you understand how big Donetsk is. So you have Donetsk and Makivka, and then it pushes up to Avdiivka. This is a massive metropolitan area, huge city. I've been in it many times. So Avdiivka right here, of course, Ukrainian controlled today for their military flag day, not national flag day, but military flag day. Ukraine put some balloons in the air. And the purpose of that was so that people in occupied territory would be able to see the Ukrainian flag flying, hopefully encourage them. Really interesting video here. I'll translate what's necessary, but not really necessary to translate. Just check it out. He's talking about we're going to put these balloons in the air so people can see, and then the guy behind him said, watch out, we've got to go over there because there's trees right here. Upper left it says Avdiivka, Donetsk Oblast. I mean, those guys are in harm's way right there, so close. Of course, Slava Ukraina, Geroyam Slava. Is that not the coolest thing you've ever seen right there? Now, the Russians did shoot it down later, but it was up in the air and it was absolutely able to be seen from Donetsk. So that is very, very cool. Now, we've talked about the Boyka towers. These are the rigs, massive rigs that can be used to land helicopters, deploy waterborne troops, drones, whatever. Ukraine has taken control of all the Boyka towers in the Black Sea. So that is good. That is very, very good. Those are some strategic platforms. You know, you may be wondering, I saw 99 Red Balloons comes to mind, LOL, from Skeghead, but you guys may be wondering why they used red and black balloons and hung the blue and yellow flag. Why didn't they use blue and yellow? Well, the red and black flag that you guys may see in some Ukrainian things, is not a Nazi flag. It's not a communist flag. It is a historical flag of Western Ukrainians who back in history were called Bandera. It is not a bad term. In fact, many times when I'm traveling on the front lines and people will ask, you know, okay, where are you from? And I'm speaking to them in Russian, and I'll say, you know, Я из Khmelnytsky. I'm from Khmelnytsky. They say, no. You, where you from? Konechno. I'll say, of course, U.S. And they so happy. And I say, I'm from U.S. Я из Ameriky. No. Я Bandera из Khmelnytsky. So I tell them, I'm from America, but actually, I'm a Ukrainian Bandera. It's like that warrior of the history, and instantly connections are made. Tomorrow night in the Ukrainian embassy, I will say 100%, Ya Bandera, because it's so deep Ukrainian culture. That's why the red and black balloons were flying there. And if you see anything ever with Ukraine connected to red and black, it's history. I read that Ukraine was denied internet from Starlink over large parts of Black Sea. Is this the case? It was the case. They're arguing over the texture of it, if it wasn't on or Elon turned it off. I can tell you this. Elon did do something, because you guys can go to Twitter and look it up, but Elon put out a tweet today that says people keep accusing me of being a what is it? A turncoat? Not a turncoat, but an act of treason for limiting Starlink use when Ukraine was getting close. And all that was his tweet today. He's mad because people are mad at him. But the bottom line is that tells us that, yes, he did do something. On the front side or back side, he did do something. And he did say, we're too close to nuclear war. Ukraine, you can't win this war anyway, so we don't need to go blow up 10 Russian ships. Okay, basically. So it's no bueno. That's Boyka Towers. Now, folks, they are changing. Jane and I were talking about this today, and I'm going to show you guys video of this in a moment. I have a response from Jania, but you may look at that and go, okay, I don't have a clue what that says. Let me tell you what it says. It's written in Ukrainian. Conscription is changing for women. So we already know that re-enrolling in school to go to further education, go for a master's degree, will no longer defer conscription for males. And many were taking advantage of that. It's over. Secondly, the ability to add in women to the military through conscription is going to increase. So what we're seeing here is women at the top. Which of you are required to sign up and to register for the military. Here's what it says. Beginning October the 1st, 2023, female doctors, female nurses, female dentists, female midwives, female pharmacists must register. For what? The ability to serve, where you are located, your health, and your age, and that's actually on this page, between 18 years old and 60 years old. And you have to have all of your documents in order, because you could be conscripted into the Ukrainian military for medical service. Now, who is exempt? Correct, Skeg. They want more medical. That's exactly what that means. The bottom one is who is exempt from this? Pregnant, if you're pregnant. If you are a single mother, if your husband or father or whatever has died in the war, if you have 3 minor children under your roof, if you are married to an active serviceman on the front, or if you have children with disabilities. That's what that says. So this conscription is changing. It tells us quite a bit, actually. Now, I asked Zhenya about the G20 and conscription in a minute, but I want to share this with you. You guys know the G20 happened, and no Putin, no Xi, and no bold statement against Russia. In fact, the G20, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but the G20 actually modified and put out their fresh stance towards the war in Russia, the war in Ukraine, with Russia being the aggressor. And the language was a jellyfish week. It was terrible. And I have it. I have the statement, but I've got it what Ukraine wanted, and it didn't happen. But here's the G20. Here's the picture. Now, here's the other thing we need to pay attention to. Remember, it was Erdogan, the president of Turkey, in Sochi just a week before the G20 happened. And remember his tweet, "My dear friend Vladimir Putin." So the G20, Erdogan was specifically there putting pressure on them to ease up the sanctions, open up the ports, reconnect Russia to the SWIFT so that we can get a grain deal done. And maybe that would push us toward a solution for this war. Madness. Erdogan was there doing that. So Dmitry Kuleba, the foreign minister, I showed you the video with him and Blinken eating at McDonald's the other day. He point blank said today, period, it is obvious now the world's viewpoint. And actually his quote was, "We are moving towards an impasse." And he went on to say that everyone thought the Pope would mediate. He's now off the list with his pro-Russian cultural viewpoints. Many thought that Erdogan would be the one who could mediate. The president of Turkey, friends of Russia, friends of Ukraine, neighboring nation on the Black Sea. Erdogan will not be the mediator, period. It's over. In fact, after the G20, Brazil, you guys see this? President of Brazil came out and said, listen, for the next meeting, Vladimir Putin, you're more than welcome to come to Brazil. There will be no arrest for you. See, guys, the Russian economy is so connected to this world. That's why always, from day one, sanctions can only have a certain effect, because the Russian economy especially with the natural resources, is so globally connected. It's globally connected in ways we don't even understand. And just to think that you sanction them, tell them to go away, it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And unfortunately, we're seeing some of this come to pass. So the G20 question, I asked Zhenya, and conscription, the two things we've covered up to this point. And here was his response.
G20. Shortly, position of the United States will show the next direction. Everything will go from one side. From other side, Ukraine are fighting, and Ukrainians will not quit, will not stop. And yes, we hope and we trust the world that the world will continue staying with us, and even more will give some more help. But these conversations are not new about canceling the sanction or like allowing Russia to use SWIFT or other. Somehow, anyhow, it works. The business didn't stop. The world didn't make it like really strict. That's it. Ukrainian conscription, yes. Today I had to go to a big store, something like a Walmart in Ukraine, and there were military guys checking people, coming to drivers, and the only way Ukraine can continue fight and win, if all the people, all the volunteers, all the men and women will be involved in this war, helping our Ukrainian army. So we need it. We need more people on helping, being involved.
So that's his thoughts there on G20 and conscription. So you heard it. You've heard what's unfolding as I shared it before we got his response. But folks, those of you that have been around for a long time supporting us and following what we do, picked up a lot of you guys when we're there on the front, and you may feel even like you know us, and that's wonderful. But let me ask you a question. Does the man look tired? I mean, my brother's getting wore out. And those of you that have been with us a long time, you know, you see it. So that's the reason I go there in the winter and serve with our team, because the winter is the hardest. It's brutal, and I can be of most help in the winter. So I'll be there rolling with him. But yes, he does look 5 years older, and his story would be that of millions of Ukrainians. So that's where we're at on Zhenya there. Here is the statement. Okay, let me explain this to you. The statement officially is in the black text. The red is the language that Ukraine was looking for. So, understand how this goes. The black text is the official. The red is what it should say. So, the G20 stance, I'll read the black. Concerning war in Ukraine, all states must act in a manner consistent with purposes and principles of UN Charter in its entirety. Notice, this is what Ukraine picked up on. The war in Ukraine against Russia. Ukraine warned against, but what Ukraine was bothered by is they removed, Russia. It's now all states must act, not even naming it Russia. Second section. On war in Ukraine, all states must refrain from threat or use of force to seek territorial acquisition against territorial integrity and sovereignty of political independence of any state. Once again, Russia's not in there. Third, on war in Ukraine, once again, against, use or threat of use of nuclear weapons is inadmissible. But there's no Russia there. Ukraine doesn't have nuclear weapons. Why not call it? Because we've been watching this unfold and go this way. This is the problem, and Ukraine knows it. And then their fourth statement on Ukraine crisis, there were different views and assessments of the situation. Ukraine says, why don't you just write Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine? Members of the G20 unequivocally condemn it and call on Moscow to immediately end it. Sounds good to me, but it's not going to happen. So what we actually have, guys, is the G20, and this is economics. Russia, the economic side. So the G20, point blank, backed up on assertive language against the aggressor, against Russia. It comes down to money, as we've always known, and we're seeing it. So, ridiculously yellow jellyfish statement. You thought we were spineless a year ago? World leaders? If we were spineless a year ago, I don't know what we are now. We're spineless on steroids. Well, I think Mark McLaren right in the chat a little while ago, Kim Jong-un on his military train heading to Vladivostok, and he will be meeting with Vladimir Putin. And there's so much speculation. I don't know why there's speculation. Maybe you're here tonight and you say, okay, you know what? Where in the heck are these places at? I don't really know Asia. So folks, here's Japan. And then you have this peninsula, and you have South Korea. You have the DMZ line here. And then you come up into North Korea. Of course, there's Pyongyang, the capital. And he rides a train through North Korea, and you cross the Russian border right here. In fact, this border right here is where North Korea, China, and Russia come together. He'll ride right up to the city of Vladivostok. This is where the meetings are taking place, the Eastern Economic Forum that we covered, and this is where it is most likely that Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin will have their discussions. Dictator poised for an arms deal with Putin. Of course, the United States coming out today and saying, if you do arms deals, we will sanction you, North Korea. I don't think they care about American sanctions. Their people are starving. It is a communistic regime of evil and terror who now see an opportunity like never before to be valuable to somebody major. That's what it comes down to. Vladimir Putin and the great Russia. We need you, Kim Jong-un rocket boy. We need you. It is already understood that North Korea has been sending stuff to Russia. But folks, if they go forward with like some agreements, and they may not even have to be public, but if they go forward with this, here's what we're looking at. North Korea would receive from Russia grain, oil, money, and military technology. help their missiles stay in the air longer when he's firing them over Japan. Okay? And Russia would receive munitions, MLRS systems, and short-range ballistic missiles. Now, when I was researching this today, yes, there is specific technology Rocket Boy wants. That's for sure. But, okay, folks, North Korea is a society built on the Soviet Union of the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It looks just like it. It is built on that ideology, down even to the way the divisions of labor and the proletariat and the bureaucrats, all of the bureaucracy, that's how North Korea is operated. And during those days, the Soviet Union loaded North Korea with munitions. Loaded them. And I know we say, okay, well, it's going to be 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s technology. So North Korea, have, according to multiple sources that I trust, that I looked at today, and I know this number's hard to fathom, but millions and millions of shells and equipment, even old, half of them can be duds, doesn't matter. Tons of the Soviet junk from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and Russia is full of those launching systems and that technology. They can roll it out of deep storage. They're already doing. Listen, we've been talking about it for a long time, and now we're going to watch it unfold over the next couple of days. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, Mossad coming out today. You see a picture here of some Iranian missiles. You see an Iranian flag, and you see a Russian flag there. The picture is just for reference, but the bottom line is Mossad head. His name is David Blarney. David Blarney, the director of Mossad. And I'll quote it for you. Listen, I was in the hospital all day, so all my notes are goofy. They're written down, but there it is. It says absolute fact. Now I'm quoting. I would have it on a slide for you, but absolute fact. Iran sends longer range missiles and Shaheeds in exchange for particular Russian systems that Iran needs for Middle East security and technology, meaning war against Israel, the activities in Syria, Lebanon, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and whatever else they want to do. You know, it's interesting, and I didn't do it tonight, but there were 33 Shaheeds fired yesterday. Are you guys seeing it where it's like about 30 a day? I mean, they're loaded. They are once again loaded. But that's from Mossad, David Blarney, and he's extremely confident. He says it's an absolute fact. This is the village of Plaru, and here's the map. In the black, below the black line is Romania. The red shaded is Moldova, and above the black line is Ukraine. On the far left, the black circle is Reni, which is hit all the time with the drones, and the circle in the middle is Ismail. We've talked about these places. Across the river from Ismail is the Romanian village of Plaru. So now a second Shaheed has fallen on Romanian sovereign territory. Not just one now, but two. And it landed 2.5 kilometers from Plaru. The guy on the right, that is President Klaus of Romania. He put a quote out today in regard to the second drone hitting Romanian territory. And it was 3 words. I strongly condemn. Well, great. That's beautiful. I'm glad you strongly condemn it. Powerful. Powerful statement there. And I know it's not direct hits. And I know it's not targeting Romania. But they're falling on your ground and hundreds of meters across a river, they're striking almost daily. You know, a little bit more than I strongly condemn. How about I strongly condemn, and if it ever happens again, even by accident, there will be a response. That would be a great statement. It's not going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen? Because even though he's the president of Romania, and even though Duda is the president of Poland, and these are good guys, really, they are. Duda's a great guy. Poland. Schultz. Germany, really stepping up to the plate. I'm so happy with the statements he made the other day. We played them. Everything's great. But you say, why? Especially with Poland and Romania. Well, why not a stronger statement? Why not? Because, folks, they're in NATO. And NATO is ruled by the United States. And rightfully so, honestly, because it's a majority of our equipment and our money and our resources and our wonderful soldiers that are the best in the world. Okay? Understood. But these guys aren't going to say a peep if they do not think that Joe Biden will have their back. It's just the way it is. Because Romania can't beat Russia and Poland can't beat Russia. You say, well, Russia can't even beat Ukraine. A war's still going on. I believe Ukraine's going to win it, and we're going to support it till the very end. But this is going exactly how Vladimir Putin wants it. Exactly. Just wear everybody out. Wear them out. We're going to get our territories. We're going to sell our oil. We're going to be trading our grain. We're going to do whatever we want, and the world will know that we are who we say we are. The new Soviet Union. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a really good comment there, Tim. 2014 test of Budapest memorandum, which failed, and now this is a test of NATO. Yeah, JDO, I don't disagree. If Europe had been paying and manning for their own defense for 78 years, they may have a NATO say so. I don't disagree at all. But this is why I believe that these guys, I mean, if I was the president of Romania and 2 accidentally hit me, that'd be enough. I'd say, listen, keep your drones on your own land. If they hit mine one more time, I'm going to pop you in the mouth. Why not? Because there's a whole lot more at play. Jeffrey Burnett strongly condemns flavors of ice cream he doesn't prefer. You might as well say that. That's exactly right. Now, let's see. I've got that one. Yeah, we're doing perfect. Ukraine released numbers today. Officially, by their counts, 420,000 Russian soldiers are now on Ukrainian territory. And this does not include the Rosguard, which is running a lot of the security services, which has soldiers in the thousands. But 420,000 soldiers, Ukrainian information, are in those red zones. 420 inside. That's not counting the guys on the border up there or on the outside. 420,000 inside. I have a picture of an Iskander launcher. Plaru population's 27 people. Sure. I can take you to Ukrainian villages where the population is 10. I've rescued people from Ukrainian villages that have 5. still our town. It's still our people. In fact, President Zelensky said, if there's one person in the village, we'll fight to save them. So I don't care if it's 27 or 27 million. You hit it on our ground, even by accident. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. It could be one person. It's Romanian territory. Iskander. Russia has moved 46 new Iskander rocket launching systems all throughout the red border there, on the border with Ukraine and Russia. That system right there are the missiles that a couple of days ago hit Sumy, Zaporizhia, and Kryvyi Rih. I showed you video on all those places. So 420,000 Russian soldiers in the red, and 46 new Iskanders systems are placed there. Additionally, these are elections, free elections that are happening down, and they will actually close today. It's 10:01 p.m. here in the east of the United States. It's 5:01 a.m. in Ukraine. And today, September the 12th, there is officially the fake election day in the occupied zones. Here, Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Crimea. These are the elections that are happening. Fake, false, joke elections. But I've shown you real video. The pre-voting being taken with soldiers coming with the electors, or those securing the votes door to door. So this is the reality of it, and you can see here. This is what's happening all throughout these regions. The results that come tomorrow will all be fake. It's all a joke. But here's the point about the elections. You can't hold elections in someone else's country. 100 agree with you. So here, Hamish, this is a really good point. You're right. That's Ukraine. All of that's Ukraine. But see, Russia doesn't care, because the world is learning now that Russia, the Kremlin specifically, doesn't care about NATO's opinion, doesn't care about the G20. It's irrelevant, because they feel that their necessity in the world economy and the flow of the world is much more important than what those guys think. And right now, we're seeing some of that unfold with the actions taking place over the last week. Now, what did Russia do? Russia, 9 months ago, rewrote their constitution. They adjusted their constitution. And in their constitution, they list their sovereign oblast. Oblast translates to region. And in the Russian constitution, I know not us, of course it's Ukraine, but in the Russian constitution, literally in their constitution, they write that these 5 regions are theirs. Sovereign Russian territory. So that's why they feel. And you see, we then have the G20 come and put a soft statement on it. Not even mentioning Russia, not even mentioning occupied territories, not even mentioning stolen land. Just general statements of softness. So Russia goes with these elections. Elections are fake. It's over. The guys that are in power will stay in power. But why am I showing it to you? Why am I showing it to you? Susie Q, thank you. Welcome. Appreciate that. Here's the deal. The reason these elections are getting so much notoriety right now and so much pub is because on September the 13th, Russia will feel free to start conscription in the occupied territories. They were not going to push a heavy conscription in Kherson, Zaporizhia, Lugansk, Donetsk until this election's over. It frees them. I remind you, the presidential election where Vladimir Putin will win again, unless he's not on this planet, is in 2024. I think March or April. So this sets Russia now. They're set until next spring. Okay, we can roll conscription. It's not going to be election issues. It's not going to be anything. We're free to do what we want. So that's why these have been big notices. So we're already seeing conscription information go up. Here's actually a billboard from Russia, the conscription, and what it actually says. I'll translate it for you. It's kontrakt.mil.ru. It means it's the web address, and then slujit Rossiya nastoyashaya rabota, Z. That says, serve Russia. It's real work, Z. Serve Russia. It's real work. And this is what we're going to see a lot of. Ukraine coming out and saying we will see in their next wave of conscription. You say, well, how does Ukraine know this stuff? Well, they have spies. They hear things. They speak the same language. They know what's going on, just like Russia knows what's going on. What does Z mean? The letter Z. When I flip to Russian and speak it, I think in that alphabet. So if a Russian speaker was to look at that, they would call it Z, letter of the alphabet, right there. So Ukraine coming out and saying we're expecting 400 to 700,000 new waves of conscription, and we can't keep up with that. 400 to 700, and an additional 40,000 Chechen security services from the Kadyrov. And folks, Kadyrov, the president of Chechnya, if he needs to send 40,000, he'll send 40. If he needs to send 100, he'll send 100,000. Why? Because he doesn't want to end up like Prigozhin. Simple. Chechnya is all in. So 40,000 security services coming, and Ukraine saying 400 to 700,000. Now, Ukraine coming out and saying 45 more days. 45 more days where we can be active on, but the British say Z too. Because I think through the Q's, only the Americans that say Z. In fact, we got Australians in here always. What do you guys say there in Australia? You say Z too, not Z? We say Z here, but over there it's Z. So 45 more days, and it's not due to the slow rotation of equipment or equipment not coming. Folks, this is weather. I've shared with you guys that when the weather changes in Ukraine, it will change like that. And it will go from summer to like winter. It'll be cold. It'll be windy. It'll start raining. Next thing you know, you're into snow and ice. It just happens. And when that happens with that soil, it's over. It's a mud bog. There's JJB, Z in Australia. Thank you, JJ. So 45 more days, that's going to put us toward the midpoint to the end of October, and that's accurate. It doesn't mean the war stops. They will keep pounding and going at it both sides. But where the weather's good, another 45 more days. Mr. Terry, thank you for all you do informing us. Everyone needs to remember Russia is larger than Ukraine, but if Ukraine continues on at the current pace, Russia will be dehumanized, as in little men left. Agreed. This is a war of attrition right now. In fact, Zelensky came out today and was saying this. There's no end in sight. No end in sight. So talking about that and the 45 days here, let's hear from Zelensky. I've got this video for you guys. Listen real good. I've got the volume real hot and powerful. Yep, JDO got you. F-16s spring. I know you're seeing stuff says they'll be flying in the winter. Spring. Let's see here. Zelensky talking in English. I've got the volume hot for you because of his accent. But here he is.
Of course, we gave a lot of time for Russians. We gave a lot of time to prepare to mine.
To put the mines in.
To put the mines on the fields and on the big territory. And so you see the three defending lines.
And that's because you were waiting for Western
for the weapon. That's why I said, that's why what I said, it depends on many issues. We waited too long, it's true. No, I'm thankful to partners, to United States, EU, other partners. I'm thankful very much, President Biden, and to Congress. But we have to understand, we waited too long, they put mines. Then when we been ready from the point of view of our partners, because the decision to give us, for example, Bradley or another kind of weapon, the decision, it doesn't mean the result.
You don't get them immediately.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. So something still on the way. Till now, when we are sitting and speaking about it, when counteroffensive, when a lot of different people say that it's too slow, but it's still on the way.
Still on the way. So, hey, positive statements there, but he's right. He's right. And, you know, and he understands. He called to Bradley or says, you know, there's a difference between we get the agreement to send and the arrival. And that's even on the F-16s. You know, we can hope all we want, but facts are facts. You just don't put an F-16 in the air. The only way an F-16 is going to be flying on Ukrainian territory in 2023 is it will have a NATO pilot in it. Period. If an F-16 is flying, it's going to have a NATO pilot. It's not just pilot training, but you have infrastructure that goes into each and every F-16, maintenance training, the supply systems, everything. It just doesn't happen overnight. You know what? I'm sure they would. Have been any talk of Ukraine hiring former veteran mercenary F-16 fighter pilots from around the world? I'm sure they've done that. There are a lot, I can't say hired, a lot of volunteers there, especially in the early parts of the war, in the mid parts. So to this point when I was there, I ran into a lot of foreign mercenaries. So possible. You know what? On Wednesday at 9 a.m., I'm going to be talking to congressmen. I'm going to tell them your guys' opinions, that we are in agreement. Now, let's go to this. Kakhovka. Here you see this dear lady who lost everything. And I want to show you this on the map. And this is where we're going to close tonight with a smile. We have just did another delivery. Foreign Ukrainian patriots, not mercenaries. I like that. Let's go down here. Let's go down here in the map. Right here, Kakhovka. Kherson. Come up the front lines all along the river here. And this is the reservoir, of course, it's now dry. But if you come to the town of Nova Kakhovka, okay, this is the dam that was blown. This killed the reservoirs. This is the town of Nova Kakhovka. And this is the Kakhovka Dam. Do you guys see this little place right here? Vesele. Veseli. Okay. Veseli is this little village right here. Here it is written in Ukrainian, Veseli. Veseli. This village right here has no water. Zero clean. Zero. And you say, well, they can dig a well. It's all polluted. They cannot even get water out of the ground. And yes, those villages have plenty of wells. Everything's polluted here due to the flooding and the dam blowing. So our organization, which means you guys, because you donate and help us, we have just delivered yesterday water storage tanks, 1,000 liters, and we're filling them with clean water. And folks, you just need to see where our guys go and where we go. Veseli, Russian position. It's just across the bridge. When you make deliveries into this area, which we do, your eyes and ears are in the air for drones, and you never get into an open position where you can be seen across the river due to the danger of snipers. You just don't. We park our vehicles, or we're behind concrete barriers. We will, if we're serving homes right here in the front, we come and pull behind the homes. You do everything to protect your lives. Yesterday, our guys dropped these water containers right here. Zhenya sent a little video, and I just want you guys to see. We're all doing great work together, and I'm talking about in some of the most dangerous places there are. Here is tired Zhenya again, telling about helping people in Veseli, right on the Kakhovka.
Dear friends, short update. As we did plan, we buy 2 water tanks, 1,000 liters each, and it was delivered to the Kakhovka dam area, village Vesele. So big thanks, and you may look how it was. So one more time, big thanks from people living there, it helping them to have drinking water. God bless you. Bye.
This is what it looks like, guys. That's Tigran. That should be a full reservoir. So there you have it, guys. That's what we're all doing together and helping people like this lady with clean water. Unbelievable. So the Armenian guy there you saw, he's Ukrainian, but his family's roots are from Armenia. That's Tigran. I've known him since he was 12 years old. He's 38. And the guy that was with him, remember, our new soldier friend, Bogdan. So, we don't go that close without serious help. So, in fact, you saw the picture there of Tigran sleeping in the van. So, I wish I had Zhenya here tonight to tell you the story, but they went to make the delivery. I'll go back to the map just so you can see this. It's pretty interesting here. They went in to make the delivery here and drop the water containers, bring them fresh water right here. And the bridge is right here. And when they came to this point here, coming in actually to Kozatsky, and folks, it's nowhere from there to there, of course, a kilometer. And military stopped them and says, listen, we love what you're doing, but it's too dark and you cannot go on that point. It's way too dangerous, and we're not even going down there. They've got night vision, thermals, they have everything. We have to go in the day. So they actually pulled in this corner somewhere and slept in the van all night. Got up the next morning and eased on in, having a little bit more safety to make the delivery. So folks, that's how you win a war. And we couldn't do it without you guys helping us, the donations. And we'll continue. Do peremoga, the Ukrainian word I taught you tonight that means victory. So thank you guys. Going to represent you guys well next couple of days in DC, Ukrainian embassy, dealing with those meetings. And I'm going to give you whatever update I can. Make sure you have the notifications on, and we'll be here together. And if anything goes sideways any other time, of course, we'll jump in with something. You can see the update on the air alert now. All quiet. Everything's good. So they're having a little bit of peace in Ukraine tonight. Give you a peaceful blessing too. You guys have a great evening, and apologies for being a few minutes late, but all is well that ends well. Be blessed. We'll see you as soon as possible. Have a good night.
Slava Ukraini!